Okay. Hello, welcome to the recording. Seems like Aristo got another private lesson today. So, Aristo, I'm gonna make you speak so we can talk. Let's see. Here we go. Hello, buddy. Can't hear you right now. Hello? Nope. Nope. And we also can't see the green box around your picture. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice. Okay, good. Amazing. You know what happened? I think that I have different Discords, and if I keep both of them open and then I join a stage and I'm on Discord and the other account, you're not gonna hear me. I think that's what's happening. And now I
uh,
just closed everything, reopen it, so I'm assuming that's fine. Now it's fine.
Sounds like.
Okay, perfect. Here we are.
Okay, so
Alright.
what should we do today? Do you have setups you want to reflect on or anything
Yeah.
else?
Let's talk about the setup that we talked about last time. I think it was on Wednesday. I'm
Mm.
just gonna share just as an update. Um, I mean, for now, I'm still doing forex. I want to get into stocks, but man, this week has been crazy at work, so I wasn't able to like really do anything honestly. Um, I try to like watch videos and I see your recordings, documentations, but in terms of charting and placing trades, I couldn't do anything. Um, but anyways, so do you remember this?
Just give me a second. Um,
Yeah.
I could see the window right now. No, it's gone again. Why? Give me the stream again. Uh-huh. screen. Yeah. Now it looks good. Can't make it bigger, I guess. Okay. Yeah. So show me.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. We were talking about this trade the other day. Actually, I'm into the trade. In terms of timelines, we're in the 1 hour. I think we found. Oh yeah, it was some bunch of different order blocks down here, and then I remember I took a trade here and it didn't work. But then we were talking about using the order blocks for that in order for me to place a trade. This was a 2 hour. There was a 1 hour. Sorry, a 2 hour. 1 week. Sorry, it's still waking up here. It's 7:15 a.m. 2 weeks, and then it was 1 week, 12, and then it was 4 weeks. So together we went down to the different timelines, time frames. Come on, and we were able to refine it. And then we placed a trade. I was in a trade, and then you mentioned go with the trend line. Wait for the trend line and see what happens. So, and that was during our last conversation we had. So I'm checking the trend line, and literally as soon as we finish, I see this, and there's a spike, boom, and I'm like, okay, I place a trade, and then as soon as there's a spike, you can see that the trend it's very slow, but you see that the trend line it's moving away from this one, which I think was pretty cool. And then there was another trend line here, so I decided to put another trend line here, but then there was that one up here too. And there was a little reaction here. I don't know if it was because of this trend line or maybe there was something inside here. But well, at the end of the day, I think it makes sense to really follow the trend line as you mentioned last time. And then whenever you see a change of direction, then it means that potentially the price is reversing. Um, so I put another entry. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put another 1% of my account, and then let's see how it goes. So for now, um, I mean, there's still a long way to go. I'm targeting the highs up here, and I feel like with on Wednesday there was the mock. Was it? Is that how you say it? I
FOMC?
was talking about the interest rate. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So I think that it was a little. I don't know. Probably wasn't. It was a little inconsistent, or it was a lot of a lot of news, so things were a little shaky. But anyways, I think that was cool about when you mentioned the trend line, and actually at the moment that it broke the trend line, the price is slowly reversing. So I think that's pretty interesting, and definitely something that I should apply in my day-to-day trading.
Yeah, so
Uh,
it's nice to see that it worked out good. You see, this is usually what happens, like the big pump from the trend line away, and then there's usually some kind of retest which you can use to then scale in. And obviously,
uh-huh.
the break was pretty quick, so it's hard to get in lower, but in the end, you did kind of well. The only thing I want to mention is don't start drawing too many trend lines because so many trend lines will fail, and then you will get like a wrong bias and stuff like that.
Okay.
As said, once you have a higher time frame level or something you want to trade, have a trend line to see within the level or like the move that goes into a level when it's changing momentum. This is the most powerful. You will see if you like keep pulling trend lines like this, it will lead to confusion. It will lead to too many biases, and you will like yeah, you won't get any gains out of it. Like the trend line you made out
Okay.
with this uptrend. I mean, even though it worked kind of nice, now it suggests, oh, we broke down, right? But you will see this kind of
Uh-huh.
behavior very often for trendline to trick trendline traders. You still want to trade the higher time frame level like you usually would. The trendline is only your execution tactic. And whatever happens after is the only thing that's really important from here on is like the horizontals, and you make higher highs and higher lows ever since you broke the trend line. So your trade is
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Thank you. So yeah, we'll see how it goes for that one. I'm still in the trade, so
Mm.
we'll see about it. Um, there is also I mean, this trade too. That's different order blocks here. There's one day here another block. Don't know if I share this one with you. So what I thought about this one is this is in a bullish trend. So it's partially in the, which is in discount. I would, I mean, there's two options. I think we actually talked about this. Maybe no.
Looks kind of familiar, but I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah, it was close to the equilibrium for this range, and then for this one,
yeah.
it's pretty much a little discount. For now, I mean the negative. Yeah. And there was Phoebos here as confluence, and I think there was a 2019 20 hour. No, it's pretty much, it's very hidden, this one. So I was like, why not, huh? And it's a little small. And then my SL, I covered, it was pretty wide. So I'm just trying to play it safe. And I'm targeting this one. Low time frame, the price is still in a downtrend. It tried this high here. Didn't quite work. Swing failure pattern, I'm assuming.
Yeah, slightly.
So technically, yeah, technically the trend is not ideal so far because it looks like it tried to break the highs, but it didn't. So there's still like, I would say, various continuation, but I think it's, there's just another low here, and the price tried to go below that low. Price didn't. So it's a little on the edge. It's just trying to figure out where to go. So we'll see. In terms of execution, I took the trade because I'm thinking, why wouldn't I trade it, right? I think it checks the boxes. I check for Vivos. There's some confluences. For like this one, that one too. So there's this one. Well, I mean, probably this one would have to change it. Yeah, we're still, it's still in it. Oh my god. Anyways, and then it's in discount. There's a bunch of different order blocks. So I'm like, okay, why not? So I decided to take it. Let's see how it goes. And that's the trade that I'm in right now. I don't have much more. I'm checking my paper trading account in which I saw that I placed a trade with Twilio and talk about it if I remember on 6 weeks. It was a very straight short trade. This closed already. That was a long height and trend trade. But it was based on order blocks. Maybe we can go through this. Maybe you tell me what you think. Okay, so I start with 10 months. This is 10 months. Let's go 9 months. I see this very short order block. Marked it. So far, it's in discount. So, for bullish continuation, if it ever gets to that price, makes sense. I mean, it's 134, now it's 25. It will take some time. There's 8 months as well. There's this one down here, actually. Would that count this one as an order block, NC?
Yeah. But
Okay.
right now we have 2 months for wait before you
Oh,
mark
yeah.
it out. The
When is it
candle is not
closed?
closed, but it would
Okay.
technically be one if the candle is closed.
Okay. So 7 months. Order block. There's nothing up there so far. 6 months. Order block. 5. Order block. There's a lot of big cluster here, so this is good.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to trade probably here so far. We'll see. 5 months. 4 months. Okay, for this, would you take this as a partial hidden order block?
Yeah, the white one you could count.
The white one. Okay. Nice. This one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to make it more clear.
Hello, Victoria, by the way.
Oh, Victoria's here. Nice. Hello. 4 months, and then this is an order block, not yet. No, because this needs to close anyways. Okay. 3. This case is NC. That's not an order block.
It would technically be, but the second blue candle has already taken it, right? So it's
Exactly.
it's touched, and it's also not like the cleanest one, but it's technically still demand. So if you remove the last 2 candles and you see only the white one, it's technically demand, and the white candle shows that it's also reacting from there. So technically is.
Okay. And then this here partially hit an order block too.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like this?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. Maybe here.
Yeah, like this.
Okay. Then we have 3 months. Months. The same here. 1 month. And then I marked the 6 week, 10 week, and 7 week. Let's see, 6 week. I mark this order block. Oh yeah, now it starts to ring a bell. I mark this order block. Let me. Oh, and then that was with my paper trade account. I'm gonna put like this. I mark this one as an order block. This one is not touching it, so I have a 6 week, 7 week. There's this one. Six weeks. There's this one. 5. 4. That's a hidden order block.
Depending on where the current candle is closing. Right now it's just an
Oh,
order
yeah.
block.
Exactly. For now, just another block. 3 weeks. This, but that was mitigated already. Weeks. Nothing. 1 week. I don't know why I honestly placed this trade. I don't think it makes a lot of sense what I did. Now that I think about it.
It's also not something I would take personally because it's just not aligning with my
Yeah.
strategy or my edge. But um, in the end, the levels you marked out are correct. But I, for example, would not approach a stock like this, like with this technical analysis you just did. But I'm not saying the level couldn't work, right? It's still probabilities and you have supply there. But I would approach
Uh-huh.
it differently. But we can do that as
How would
well.
you want to approach it? Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Anyways, yeah, now that I think about it, I'm like, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I would love to see how you'd approach it.
Yeah, so best I think I share my screen and show you
Yes.
how I would chart the stock from scratch. TVLO, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then we move this back up and this here, and I get better with the recordings, by the way.
Sweet.
Um, yeah, slowly I learn that stuff as well. So share screen. Can we talk about invalidation and plan B stopped? Great. Yeah, we can, but it's not like a general topic I can like cover and give you certain rules. It's invalidation and plan B is always depending on the single play. But let's talk about this stock first. So I just charted like I would, and then I will talk about what you did and how I see. So
Okay.
first I want to look at like what is this? What is kind of narrative? Aha, it's packaged software. Average volume 2 million x 100. So this is definitely good volume. Interesting stock. Don't care about earnings and stuff like that. Then we have a familiar pattern. Like this is a kind of pattern I've already showed you before, like the pump and dump kind of pattern, long reaccumulation. And now something could shape up here. So this is actually what we want to see. We can also look for volume real quick. We had the point of control down here. Before we hit that, it was even lower, and then we created a lot of volume here. So big buyers were stepping in down here. The volume is pretty consistent, but it tends to increase at the lows. Yeah, okay. Let's see what the VWAP says real quick. Okay, so much to that. Then I would mark out like general demand area, which would be this. Just simply because we had a lot of accumulation and ranging down here, and we had the biggest impulse coming from this region here. We never really retested. So if I go to very high time frame, could also be some kind of block or whatever. But yeah, this for example. But this is not what I'm really looking at. You see also here the partial one, because I'm not looking to over refine those plays. Let's see it. Yeah, so I would the purple box I drew out was actually kind of precise. Um, so this is demand. We came back to demand after like a crazy bull run. We corrected what 80, 90%, 90%. We came back here, we reaccumulated, and we broke those highs here. This, for example, this little retest, so our new demand or our demand just became stronger. This would be this. And one a very beautiful entry would have been this one, like the retest of this high here, the retest of this range high. See, we corrected another 50%. Very volatile stock. This would have been a great entry. Now it seems like it wants to go higher. We have supply here. We have supply here. So we have like consolidation, big sell-off from there, right? Doesn't don't even need to look for 1,000 candles or whatever. It's very obvious to me that this region is definitely supply, for example, as well. So if I go to a different time frame, you see there is a block, but I'm not a block hunter, right? You see also here the partial, so the supply reacted already kinda. I'm not a block hunter, I want to make money in the most effective way. And so I just market supply and demand on stocks. You see, could also market all of those, but my first estimation was already not that bad. And obviously, the whole thing here is also supply. So extreme premium supply. If you go there, bearish. I would lean to be bearish. So next thing, we are gapping into the supply right now, and we skip this one more or less, which is rather bullish sign. We have a lot of like, this is a very empty area on the chart, right? You see price almost not mitigated this whole thing here. This whole area, it's probably around the 0.5. And this is actually kind of interesting. So maybe I'm trading this. And now, but right now I wouldn't be too bullish, simply because we are sitting in this gap. We could also refine it to the breaker block if you wish. I think like this gap here will definitely provide a reaction. If we get, for example, this, I would be interested in a setup here. Maybe not too greedy with the stop loss. Very volatile stock. Maybe even including the 618 and targeting those highs. Solid for our idea. Let's just mark this out as supply. Probably also some kind of fib here. 786. So this would be a setup I would want to trade, simply because we had a break of structure, right? So we had a very aggressive downtrend. Now we made a higher high, we made a higher low. We internally made no higher high, but we made a higher low again. And now with this, it's not a higher high yet. I mean, the wick did, but the close was not. I would still like considering this pullback tradable. So at least to this high, maybe, depending on what it does tomorrow. On Monday, I mean. And then a good best case target for this trade would probably this. So I would not lean short to this chart on this chart, simply because looking at this whole thing here, like this is our range, right? This is our range. We are in deep premium still of the range. And while this could definitely work, and like if you take majors into consideration and all that, we could definitely go down from here, and then you're in a short, and that's great. But I would only make this depending on majors. For example, if I would take a short here, simply because this chart is more bullish than bearish right now. So if you short this chart, you're basically shorting against structure, against local structure. And you see we have another gap here. So this would probably be a really nice target area for this trade. And this is how I would approach this chart. So I would not take a short here, most likely, because I don't know where to put my stop loss then, because this supply could work within here. But at the same time, there is this level up here, and should we go all the way to this high, it's very likely that we just sweep it before we go lower. And it's very hard to define a stop loss for me, to be honest. And it seems to be very reactive to gaps on my first like view. It's also important that you look at this asset and look for what it is. So we filled this gap partially, which was a retest of this area here. We skipped the gap here, so maybe I'm not so right with my thesis. We skipped another gap here. Oops. But we didn't skip this one, and obviously we skipped this once and here twice. But still, like, this is a hole in the chart, right? So I would definitely And the fine thing is, even though it's a hole in the chart, on the daily at least, it still has a significant volume here. Obviously, it's not a gap on the 1 hour. Big absorption up here. So yeah, while you short could make sense here. Like I said, I would consider the short idea, the gap idea here up in the supply, and then maybe targeting this. Makes sense on one hand, but as said, if I look at the whole chart, I'm not that bearish on it. And I would rather look for a continuation play for higher prices, especially because the RR down here in the premium at discount is way better than shorting here. But obviously, like if majors continue breaking down, like the SPX right now breaking structure, it could make it could be reasonable to look on shorts on these as well. But then I rather short the SPX because it's more predictable than something like that. As said, those can wick and move quite aggressive, stopping you out, then going down. But yeah, so this is how I would approach this stock. Looks kind of nice. As said, this pattern, I've seen it before. Reaccumulation. Now it's breaking out, retesting this range high, potentially going way higher. Time will tell.
Can I see the fibs that you pulled, please?
Which one you mean? This one?
The for the lower time frame,
No,
please. Thanks.
simply
It's pretty much just
this one.
yeah. Okay, it's two. Okay, and then okay, the 0.5 and 81618. Nice, thanks. No, it makes sense. It makes sense everything that you're saying.
And also, it could be that your chart is looking different. If you don't like, if you go to low time frames, you need to put on extended trading hours, right? So don't forget that.
Oh, that's true.
But other than that, obviously you can always short supply here. So if you take a short here, it's not wrong. But technically, if you want to short this, you should cover this because then you should cover the whole supply. Obviously, if you want to refine it and play a higher R, you can also do that. So I'm not saying you can't do that. But at the same time, I would always try to cover the whole area, and then the whole trade makes no sense. And you see here, just double hidden weekly and all that. So there's a lot of confidence for this long. I think the long would be a higher probability setup. And also, if you take the short, as said, you have the supply right up here. Oops. You have the supply right up here. And then if you also consider covering this, or like that it acts like a magnet once we're up here, yeah, not very favorable for a short, in my view.
Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah.
But interesting. I'm actually thinking about entering this one here.
Let's do it.
Let's see what it does. Let's see what the SPX does and everything. I mean, if we keep on breaking structure to the downside, I'm not bullish on those stocks, definitely. But at the same time, should we like continue trend on the SPX or just keep on ranging? Something like that could make perfect sense and could be a very nice trade. So I'm actually gonna save me this one. Do you know this company?
Sorry?
Do you know this company and what
I
they
know,
do?
yeah, I know this company. Yeah. They're here in the Bay Area. They're pretty well known.
Mhm.
They pretty much work with they do communications. It's a cloud communication. It's cloud computing and communications.
Mhm.
They do all the like hosting for like different softwares as well as offering service web APIs.
Mhm.
They're pretty, solid company. A bunch of friends work for them, and they were pretty excited about the stock going up.
Yeah, let's have an eye on that. We can also talk about it next week. Let's see how it develops. As that could be a nice gap
Okay.
trade here. And for example, let's take this example, Victoria, for talking about like invalidation in plan B. I have a simple invalidation here, and this is like I want to trade this gap and also this come on. Also, this demand here is tradable, so I cover both and also include the 618. So I would probably have my first entry here. A little more here should we wick below, and then my average could look like this. And obviously my invalidation is then below, so if I get stopped out, there is no plan B because simply my idea failed, and if the demand is not reacting, my plan B is to don't do anything stupid after getting stopped. Simply because then the idea failed, and I have no reason to do anything else. And as said, this depends fully on the setup and how you play it. So we could also look at the BTC example right now, the short. If this fails, for example, you could decide to add higher, or you could play it as one trade, or you could take three trades. Your invalidation should always be the place where your idea is invalidated, where you say, okay, there should we close below here, or should we like exceed this price level? The trade idea makes no sense anymore. So your stop loss is not placed where you could use the most leverage or where you have like a tighter stop loss. So your stop loss is always where your idea is invalidated, where it makes no sense anymore to be in this trade idea. Okay, I hope that made sense. Anything else? So thanks, by the way, for this trade idea here. Um, as said, let's have an eye on this one. Could be something. And as said, you will see a lot of stocks who look somewhat like this. PayPal, for example, looks almost identical, only that it went even more aggressive down. And similar to this other stock, I would want to see a change in trend here. And if the change of trend occurs, I could then place my trade here and I have my stop below the low. And I guess should PayPal start breaking those highs, it goes up quite aggressive just because here's nothing but air. So we probably go at least up here, around to 0.5, simply because, as said, there is no structure. So price would probably be just ripping. And so I'm looking at PayPal. It reaccumulates for quite a while. Also, PayPal is a very established company. I used it a lot. I don't use it right now because in Georgia there's not a lot of PayPal sharing. But simple from a structural perspective, it's simple. Breakout here, I'm long. I like the company, I like the chart, and your idea is pretty much similar, only that we are already higher. We broke this already, we broke those highs. Now we went up to the first resistance. We are breaking out here again. So it's actually even stronger than PayPal. From a technical perspective, I know PayPal, I still wait for the trigger signal. And should it come, I'm long. But you need to consider it could also reaccumulate for another year here, just going sideways, even going down here or stuff like that. And so I definitely wait for the signal, and I still have the invalidation because I don't want to hold the stock into a 40% drawdown, and simply just because it's PayPal and a good company doesn't mean it couldn't nuke another 50%. And so should the whole market go into a bear market, I can't like really imagine that this is going vertical, but never say never, right? And so I just trade the technical. So breakout here, this trend line, I'm long simply because I'd argue that the RR is quite good down here. And as said, you just shared a similar play. And if you were around and if you're in stocks for a while, you will see such patterns everywhere. Always a little bit different, and all with their own unique behavior, but all also quite similar, right? And especially if the stock is so backed by some like real world use case and really a profitable company and like not just some garbage, a relief bounce into those highs is very likely, and so it could also create significant returns from here. So like Moderna, for example. And as said, keep your eye open for stocks like this. Um, It's actually not that hard to find them because there are a lot of them. And some could also just go further down and nuke to zero, right? So we have the pump and dump, the usual pump and dump thing. But there are also some. What? Oh, this is not the right one. It was not Siemens. What was it? It was another German company. Come on. It's on my tongue already. Spit it out. Mm, was it another Siemens? I think it was Siemens. This different Siemens. Siemens Energy? No. There's one very famous company and it's just going further down and down and down. And it's so close. I already taste the name in my mouth. Come on. And it's pretty much what I want to say. Maybe it comes back, but um, the structure is pretty similar, only that it just nuked further down and is on its way to zero, and you could still lose from here. Also, if it's at two, it could still go down another 96%, right? If it goes to almost zero. So never say never. That's why we need to manage risk and have our invalidations in place. Doesn't really matter how good the narrative is or whatever. But this one looks actually kind of strong for now. What was the name of this company? I hate stuff like that. I know it, but it just won't come out. By the way, don't
You
let
said
you.
it's a German company?
Huh? Yeah, it's a German company.
You said it's a, what's the industry?
I think it was somewhat tech, but I'm not quite sure. I just have the chart in mind.
Uh,
And a lot of people like not, and it's also not Wirecard. I mean, you can also look at Wirecard, like the scam, and many people fell for. Oh, that's not it. Wirecard AG. Yeah, but it's also like it's also um an interesting example because it shaped up like this and then it just nuked to zero, pretty much. Simply because it was all a scam. It was really all a scam. And this was nothing but a Ponzi scheme, so they collected more and more money and they promised a lot of stuff, but they never delivered anything. There's also a Netflix series about it. Um and it really nuked to zero and many people lost everything. Um And a little bit it looks like Luna, right? So also this can also happen to stocks. Don't think um, just because it's a stock or a company, this couldn't happen. I mean, Wirecard is an extreme example, but still can happen. And it was not that long ago. So never recovered from COVID, basically. What was this other company? This other company is actually one that's not that bad, and it's not a scam or nothing, but it also just completely lost structure and never came back so far. It's also not telecom. God damn it. And it's some such things never let me like alone. I have to figure it out now. So you guys can, by the way, ask questions. You don't need to be bothered now with me not figuring it out. So if you have further questions, doesn't need to be about stocks or anything. You can ask them, obviously.
I have a question.
Hmm?
Um, I open up account for Interactive Brokers. Um, However, I can only take longs. So I wanted to take shorts, obviously, and there's a requirement here in the United States that you need to have an account, a margin account worth, I think it's $2,000 or $2,500. Um, I think it makes sense to take shorts. I want to take shorts. Obviously, like I would still use, if I have an account of $2,500, I would probably, I wish I could use like a small percentage in terms of risk. But what's your take on that? I mean, I could still paper trade, obviously, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's good to start trading with real money. But they asking me to open an account worth $2,500. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Should I do it?
so I have a margin account because I mean it's very convenient, and it's also a great way to short anything because you really like short the real stock, so not some kind of leverage product or artificial product. So you really sell the stock and you buy it back for a lower price for everything from IB. I didn't even know about this requirement, but I mean, if you just want to have the account, you can like put on 2.5K, and I mean, it's obviously like a bank. You can just withdraw it if you need it again, and you're also like backed up by up to 100K usually. So it doesn't really change anything. You could see it as your savings account. And just because you have 2.5K in the account doesn't really mean you need to trade with all of that. If you don't feel comfortable trading with that size, you can still trade a lower size. Obviously, you just have the money in there.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense. Yeah, because I was ready to start trading, but then I literally wanted to play the short trade. I think it was a twill, honestly, so I'm happy that I didn't take it. Um, and I could see that I wasn't able to do it. So yeah, probably I'm just gonna do it. But yeah, I was just wondering, should I not? But I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you can trust yourself that you don't do anything stupid with this money on this account, I see no problem with that. And also, you need to consider like if you want to trade stocks, sometimes it's not possible on such a low size because you need to buy a full stock. If the stock is already a few $100s, it might exceed your usual risk tolerance of $1. But at the same time, if you only play most optimal ones, not like anything in between, I don't see a problem. Like for example, if you let's imagine my main thesis of when your bear market plays out from here on. You will at the end of the year next year you want to be sizing a bit more, I guess, but because those opportunities don't come around every single year. And so maybe if you're warm with this account already and know how to play it, it might be an advantage.
Right, it makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, Victoria has a question. I have a question. Normal time frames are stronger than odd time frames. Not necessarily. There's a big debate about it. Let's look at crypto for that. One thing you need to consider, um, like for example, if you go for 23 hours, the chart will look very different for a very simple reason. Why? Because we have a 23-hour candle and a 1-hour candle. And that's also the reason why, for example, the volume in this one candle is very low compared to the 23-hour candle, because this one candle gets printed in 23 hours and this other candle gets printed in 1 hour. And they don't split it in the middle or something. No, they make it like this. And so the chart looks very different. And so not every hidden order block you find on an odd time frame is gold, right? So this got skipped here, then it got front run, then it got smashed again. What you want to do is to apply the usual supply and demand rules. So you look at something and say, okay, good. The whole thing here, let's the whole thing here is demand, right? So it's the origin of this strong move, and then you refine it down to lower time frames, maybe even some odd time frames. Don't know if there is some in there, but yeah, in this case, and you see, then it refines more or less this big demand. Don't trade those odd time frames on their own. Like take them into account, and a general very simple rule of thumb is you want to find liquidity on at least 3 time frames, and one of them should be higher time frame. If you can do that, and if you apply the supply and demand rules, the premium and discount rules and all that, and the standard supply and demand rules, you can use those odd time frames to refine. And you see the reaction was basically perfectly from the 22-hour here, and we have another example of perfect reaction from here. You see also this one perfect reaction, but this level was on several time frames to find. 14-hour, there's something. 22-hour, there's something. And also, like we have demand here, and according to the swing, it's definitely in deep discount. And then you can use those levels to refine behind the F3G. But I would not like trade them on their own, and be aware that those little blocks you see so often, they're usually just a 1 hour block. And so obviously it's technically a 1 hour block you see there. And also, what is also kind of helpful for that is to backtest your asset, how it reacts to those odd time frames. Some are better, some are not so good. For example, on stocks, I never use them. Makes no sense to me. Victoria, if you want to, we can also make you a speaker. So you don't need to write everything down if you wish, but obviously it's also not a problem if you want to write. Okay, I see I was checking monitor charts and there was a level for 4-hour breaker block and 20-hour breaker block. Both were in demand, but 4-hour reacted. Yeah, so if both are in the same demand, you already have your answer. You trade this one demand and you have two levels inside you can use for refined entries. But I would still, like, for example, like I always do, I would still cover the whole demand instead of just playing them separately. Oh, you're sick. Okay, then obviously it's probably better to not speak. And hopefully you get better soon. Okay, guys, yeah, from my side, I think I've said everything I wanted to say. If you want to share something with us or have further questions, you can, of course, ask them. But other than that, I think about the stocks and all my plays I've shared already. In the daily, weekly live stream. You want to share something, Aristo? Yeah, sure, go for it. You want to share your screen as well? Okay. You need to unmute yourself.
Now, thank you.
Yes.
So, this is a trade that didn't work either. I don't think I know why, but I'd like to know your thoughts. I think we can maybe just start over. Maybe it's gonna be fun. So I came across this. This is British pound Canadian dollar. Um, this is the man, and then actually I think it's gonna be better if there was some hidden order blocks in the 10-hour. There's one order block here, hidden order block here, and then this, and that's a question that I have about the colors, but that one didn't react to the 10-hour so far this week. And then if you go to the 11-hour, there's another one here in which it didn't react. That there was another one in the 2-hour. Small one per hour. The one I like. But this one, technically, well, no, this one didn't get weak. This one. Oh, this one got weak. Oh shoot. Okay. But anyway, so I tried to place a trade here, and again, I think it's a big cluster of the man here. So like this is good. That was my ASL stop loss, but probably I put it too small because then the price wicked out here, and then just lost the trade. Sorry. So I think, and I was targeting this 1 day. I think there was an order block here. 1 day order block. What level it reacted?
So, what would be a simple solution for you to not get stopped out in this trade and still playing it that tight?
Like this. Oh, I need to wait. Probably I'll just wait. I don't place the order straight up. Just wait. I go to low time frame, see how the price is reacting, and then get into the trade.
Yeah, and for example, by step, how would you do that? Like now you can
Okay.
just do it because now you see what's happened, but how could you don't need to replay or
Uh-huh.
anything. What just look
Okay.
now at the chart and tell me how you could avoid that.
So I check 4 hours, and then I see this for the 4 hours, but I would get into lower time frames. So I check the 2 hours. I don't place any trades here so far. Then I see a big wick and there's a reaction. So maybe I would check where it reacted. It was around here. It reacted down here. This is something. The price is weak here. Yeah, so probably would wait and I see this spike coming up. I see coming out from the trend line and I would probably just place the trade here and then have the SL. Does that make sense?
Yeah, some simple solutions. You just pull the trend line. You see, like the last reaction from the trend line is your big wick, the one that stopped
Yep.
you out, and you're not entering there. So you wait for the trend line break, and then you enter and put your stop below the low, and that's it. And I mean, there's still no guarantee that the trade will work, but you save yourself one stop, and you increase your probability that you're still in the trade should price go higher.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
And
need to apply this.
and it's a perfect example why waiting for this shift of momentum is so powerful. As said, it could still fail, right? It could still just go lower from here. But with this one single step, waiting for the trend line to break, it's actually, and you also have like the big volume. The big volume was also created because you got stopped. I mean, maybe it's paper trading, whatever, but a lot of people got stopped there and a lot of buying and selling was going on, which adds confidence, like the volume spike, which we talked about, volume spread analysis. Plus, you have the trendline shift. This is a clean entry. You stop below the low and let's go. That's it. And you save yourself
Okay,
one stop and you increase your probabilities.
definitely. And what Victoria is saying, I think it makes sense, but I'm also confused with that because it's good to see reaction to levels. But I was also reading that if there's no reaction, it means that there's consolidation, meaning that people are actually buying in this level, so it becomes a strong level to then go to the upside. But I'm not too sure about that either. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
maybe it could go to the downside.
there are so many ways how price could reaccumulate in this area. And the volume spike is one indication. And the fact that the level is still holding, we close within the level. We close several candles already within the level. So I would argue the level is valid. And oftentimes, especially like if your asset is not very volatile, like Forex, you won't have those crazy reactions from the level. You sometimes just have something like that. the little undercut of the low, high volume, big transfer and asset is going on, and then it's going sideways for a while where people think, oh no, it's not happening, and then it pushes higher.
Okay. Um, so basically, for the future, I found my I found my levels, and then I put I set an alarm, like probably right here. I wait for the alarm to go off, then I check, I do the trend line, and I just wait. I wait, and when I see big spike coming out from the trend line, it seems that this one is different, like it's not moving downwards anymore. At that point is when I'm like, okay, I'm ready to place an order. I cover the lowest week with the stop loss, and I'm in the trade.
Exactly.
Okay, nice, thanks.
Victoria doesn't understand how you pulled the trend line. Could you explain?
Yeah. So basically, what we were talking with NC the other day is that um, pretty much whenever you're trying to get into trade and you are not sure when to trade it, maybe you have like a wider level, like in this case, it's important to understand where the price is going. And NC was suggesting about just going ahead with the trend line. So you want to go into smaller time frames, and maybe we can share this one because I think that was pretty cool. Um, which is a different trade, but it's the same idea. So we are in the 1 day and actually got stopped before, but you see that the price is going down, and you're like, okay, the price is going down so far. They have like a big level. What am I gonna do? I go to lower time frame, let's say 1 hour, and now we have this one with this one trend line. However, you see that the price here it doesn't follow the trend line anymore. It goes more like steep. Um, so you draw another trend line for those swings over here, and then as soon as you see, well, the price hits the level, so that's interesting. That's something that I want to see, but I want to make sure that I'm getting into the right price, right? In order to do so, you just wait for the trend line in order to stop, and then at this spike is when the price goes away from this trend line, and then that's when you can place the trade because you see like it starts making like lower low, higher high, lower high, higher high, and so on. So this is a good indication that the price may reverse. So that's when you want to place the trade here. I don't know if it makes sense.
To me, it made sense. Yeah, nice explanation. Seems like you got it. And as said, one important thing is it's still no guarantee that the level works, but without this trend line breaking, there is no change in momentum, no nothing. It's just like nuking into the level. Why would we enter there? And you see what happened here, like
Yeah,
the big white candle. This is usually the moment where the trend line breaks. It's usually not always sideways, but in an aggressive fashion, especially in crypto. You think like, oh damn, I miss it. But more often than not, price again comes back. And if it doesn't, I mean, nothing happened, right? You didn't lose any money, nothing. So it's actually a very good tool to be more selective and increase your probabilities.
do you think it made sense for the price to wait? Like, okay, you see the trend line breaking, boom, and then there's a big white wick and the candle, and then you would wait for the price to come around the big candle and then enter the trade here.
Not necessarily, because it could also go higher. But for example, let's assume like you want to risk $1. You can put 50 cents at the first order, and if it comes back, you can put another 50 cents. And I mean, this doesn't sound like an interesting strategy, but you need to consider if it's $100 you risk or $1,000. There's a big difference if you risk 500 and then
Yeah,
again 500, because your entry will get significantly better, and you get like more R of this trade. So this is like advanced execution tactic then. And obviously with $1, you won't feel the biggest difference, but it's still a good training to say, okay, good, I enter here, and if it pulls back, I can still scale in a little more. If you stay flexible and if you're able to pull this off, this can lead to like better R and just like, yeah, better performance overall.
yeah. I was checking my journal, and more than I would say from 50 to 60% of my trades that I lose is because literally just the price just goes through my level, and and usually I've been only taking trades with limit orders. Um, so definitely that's something that I'm gonna be applying because it fixes the issue right there. And then if the price just goes to the entire level, so be it. You never got into the trade, and that's about it.
Mm. Yeah,
Nice,
it's a
thank you.
nice way to save yourself some stops.
Well, that's all for me, honestly. I don't have anything, and I've been super busy this week, so I haven't like really done any other chatting, or I don't have any other questions. But hopefully next week is gonna be more, relaxed, so I can spend more time doing this.
Yeah. And I mean, you brought a lot of things to the table today, so that's great.
Amazing. Well, thank
Okay.
you too.
What?
And
Hmm? Sorry, I cut you off.
I just wanted to thank you for your time,
Thank you too.
as usual.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I think we could wrap the stream up. If you have no further questions. Um,
I'm
think
good. Yeah, I don't have more questions.
okay.
I don't know about Victoria.
Think this was a good session. I hope you get well soon,
Definitely.
Victoria. Cure yourself, get healthy again. Ah, sure, yeah. We're gonna do a new poll, yeah. And now with the time shifts and all that, I think we're gonna do a new poll next week. It's probably staying Wednesday and Saturday because those are like the best days for me. From a days perspective, I mean, if a lot of people have problems with Wednesday and Saturday, we can also do something else. But for the time, I'm gonna offer several times during the day when I'm free on those days, and then we will see what's best for the majority. Okay, if that's it, thank you, Aristo, for sharing your trades and talking to me and being that open with your trades and everything. Nice session. I wish you guys a nice weekend, a nice Saturday, and we talk next week. Bye bye.
That's good. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.